Hi, I'm Justin. This is C5 Dev, where inspiration is a chain reaction. In this video, we're going to fire up docker-polyglot-world. It's a project I created that mixes Docker with Hello World. First thing we're going to do is go into the docker-polyglot-world repository, link below, and let's just take a quick look at the README for this repository. So right here, docker-polyglot-world. So far, as of this recording, these languages are available. And the setup is going to be Docker Desktop, recommended, or you can use Docker Engine plus Docker Compose if you'd like. And then you're going to need Git in order to pull down and clone this repo. From there, we have two options to really start to look at the different languages and the Hello World. One is you can run Docker Compose build, and that's going to run all the languages at one time. This is a very easy way to just start up the project. But if your machine doesn't have the resources, or if you want to take one language at a time, you're welcome to do that. So now I've cloned the repo, and I have it on my workstation. I'm in VS Code, and I'm taking a look at the README. So the first one I want to take a look at is the Python implementation for this project. So we're going to go over to the Python directory and click on main.py. This is a very basic Hello World application using a web server. And you can see the simple response is a Hello World, and then it's also going to provide the host name of the container that is running this application. So with that said, let's go back, grab that command. This is really two commands together. So first you have the Docker build, which is going to create your Docker image. And then the next command is docker run, which is going to turn that image into a container, which is, you can think of it as an instance of the application. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to run that down in the terminal. And now that that's running, I'm going to go over to my browser and have localhost 8080. I'm going to enter that. And so now it says Hello World, and this should be the host name of the Docker container. So to find that, I'm going to go to my other terminal and write docker ps, which looks at all the running containers. And you can see right here, here's my Python Docker Polyglot World, and the container ID is this, and that matches with what we saw before. So I'm going to shut down the Python one. Now let's grab the Go one. I'm going to run the Go container. All right, going to go back to the browser and hit enter, and you can see that as I refresh, the response now is giving me a different container ID. I will go back to my terminal and enter docker ps again, and that is the container ID for the Go Docker Polyglot World. And then let's just take a look. So the payload looks the same, or the payload in the response looks the same. Let's go to main.go, and I'll just show you quickly that implementation. So here is the structure that we're sending back. Same thing, get the host name, pass that in the name variable, pass the name variable back in the payload. We'll do one more. I'm going to grab the Node.js implementation and run that, just to show you that all the payloads are the same except for that host name coming back. Run that in the browser, and I have a different container. Let's just check that again real quick. All right, we do have a different container ID, and that matches. Perfect. There are 6 implementations currently. You can run it the way that I showed you to run each of those. And you can also make modifications to the application if you'd like. So for instance, I'm going to change Hello World in the Python implementation to say Hello Justin. And then I will run that Python one. Let's see if it added my change. So I'm going to refresh. And sure enough, Hello Justin from the new container. All right, so I canceled the Python application. I'm going to change this back to world. If your computer has enough resources to run all these containers at one time, you can also run the Docker Compose. If you have not run any of the previous commands up to this point, Docker Compose is actually going to run all 6 at one time. So if you don't have the images downloaded, it's gonna take time to download all those images, plus then it's gonna have to build. Depending on the language, the building can take longer. I have this all cached on my machine because I've ran this command before, so it's not gonna take nearly as much time. So I'm gonna run this command, copy it, and paste. And in a little bit here, you can see some of those cache layers showing up. I'm gonna refresh. Oh, and I don't get anything. Okay. So if you run into an issue like that, remember to take a look at the Docker Compose file and see what the definitions are. So in here, Python polyglot, oh, looks like we're mapping 8080 into 8081. So I'll go back to my browser and I'll change that to 8081, and there we go. So now I have that response. And Node.js looks like it's on 8082. You'll notice that the container is changing for me because it's actually pointing at the different implementations. So I'm going to go to 83, which should be Go. Yep. All right. But how can I verify? How do I know that these containers are actually the images or the containers that I'm running? Well, again, we'll go back to Docker PS. And now it's going to show me all 6 that I have running. And so you can see we can just go through and compare what those container IDs are that are coming through. Oh, actually, this is the Go one. So, yep, that matches what we're seeing there. Another interesting thing that you can do with this is now that you have all these running, Docker has a way to look at the resources that each container is using. So if you go to Docker stats and enter that, so now it gives me a nice clean view of container IDs, as well as which are the, what are the names of those containers. And then it also has the CPU and the memory usage. So this is a pretty helpful way to compare across the languages, the different implementations of the Hello World app. One thing I want to do is go back and modify my main.py. And I want to change this again to Hello Justin, just to show that the application can be modified. I'll change my Go application to be Hello Justin as well. And then I think I also want to change the Node.js. Let's go into here, app.js, and I'm going to change that to say Hello Justin as well. And so I'll go back to the first one, and it didn't take my change. That's because it doesn't automatically rebuild, same as before when I modified the Python container. So I will stop these. I want to go and run Docker Compose build again. The -- build is really important here. That's what's going to go through and rebuild on any changes you have. Otherwise, if you just run the Docker Compose up, it's going to run based on the cached versions or images that you have from before. Okay, now that I made those changes, I'm going to run this again. You can see it says Hello Justin. Going to go over to the Node.js run, and that changed as well. And then I'm going to go over to the Go implementation. That one changed as well. And then I don't remember what 84 is. We'll run that one more time. You can see that one is now modified. Going back to Docker Compose just to double check. Okay, so 8084 is the Dino implementation, and that one I did not change. That's all for this Fire It Up video for Docker Polyglot World. Just wanted to be able to get you into the application up and running as soon as possible. In future videos, I'm going to dig into this project a little bit more, so stay tuned. And if you are interested in seeing those, do click on that subscribe button down below. And make sure to thumbs up if you like this video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.